Hi, I am Neelima, an innovative biology teacher with 10 years of working experience from class 6 to post graduation. Of these 10 years, mostly I taught for the students who are appearing for MBBS entrance examinations. About myself is concerned, I did my masters in molecular genetics and right now doing my doctoral program in immunogenetics. Today, my topic of interest is genetics, being a genetist. So let us step into the topic. Genetics, which was funnily called to be tricks of the genes. This is the science mostly uncovered for past so many years. It was later because of a scientist called William Bateson. This is the first person who coined this word genetics. And later, the pure definition of this genetics and described this science called genetics. This is done by a very famous personality called as Gregor John Mendel. Gregor John Mendel, he is the person who is considered to be father of genetics. Students, it is easy to learn about a topic, its definitions, universal facts which are all present within that concerned topic. But you know what? Logical application of the topic is really necessary as we are living in the competitive world. So now, let us see first of all, what is this genetics and why we have to learn this genetics. Say for example, in our surroundings, in our neighborhood, or within our family itself, we do notice so many things which are really astonishing we people ourselves. Say, for example, few persons used to come to our house and they may say like, hey, your eyes are just like your father, and maybe your gestures are like your mom. So few people used to say that. And certain characteristics in you may not be present either in your father or in your mother. See, the things which you got from your father and mother, instead of saying things, let me call them as characters, and being a pure genetist, instead of saying characters, let me call them as traits. So there are some traits or characteristic features which you will inherit from your mother or father. So this is what we call it as a very important phenomenon called as inheritance. So let us look into this inheritance. This is inheritance. Genetics is the science which mainly deals about inheritance and variations. So first let us look into this inheritance, which is really, maybe we don't know this particular term, but really, like we are very familiar with this. So inheritance is just nothing but transmission of the characteristic features from parents to the offsprings. That's what we call it as inheritance. So previously, just like what I said, like see, your eyes are just like your mom, your gestures are like your father. So those characters which you notice within you and you feel like these are the characters which are present in one of my parents. So that's what we call it as inheritance. And certain characteristic features or concern you may not notice either of your parents, but you yourself guard them. So this is what we call it as characters which are present within you but absent within your parents. That particular characters are considered to be variant characters, or you can see that particular phenomenon to be variations. So now variations. So variations. See, because right now I was just dealing about human beings as we are very familiar about ourselves rather than any other animal in the world. So variations are concerned. See, for example, if you just talk about the human beings, there are certain characteristic features which are present within you but may not be present either of your parents. That particular characters are considered to be variations. So genetics is the science which deals about both of these phenomena, inheritance and variations. Alright, so that's about the genetics. See, with this normal thing, with the normal examples, now we got to know about the very definition of this genetics. So it's a science which deals about heredity and variations. We can call inheritance also with the name heredity. That's about the definition of the genetics. Okay. So after this proper definition of the genetics, you know what? A very normal person who worked as a priest, he doesn't know about his future, is just a normal priest who really planted certain pea plants, yummy pea plants in front of his church, you know. And because of this pea plants, he doesn't know at that time that he's going to really discover a very excellent phenomena in the field of genetics. Because the only success lied here is he just made a count upon the characteristic features, you know. Say for example, let us see what happened exactly. This famous personality called as Gregor John Mendel, what he did, you know that? So this scientist planted so many pea plants in front of the church, and he just kept counting like how many pea plants I just planted right now. And of these pea plants, he just observed only 7 characters. You know what? Whether it is a plant or a microbe or an animal, whatever it may be, the living organism, usually within the living organisms, you can just take behavioral, external, internal, anatomical, physiological features are concerned. So many characteristic features are present within the living organism. But while he is just doing his experiments upon the pea plants, I'm so sorry, I shouldn't say that these are the experiments, because at the time he doesn't know that he is just doing a very great experiments which is really going to give a very good universal laws in the field of the genetics. So while he is just doing his experiments upon the pea plants, you know what he did is like he just kept concentrating upon only 7 characteristic features within the pea plants. Alright. So now what he did is like after he planted certain number of the pea plants, he observed those characters, how they are present. You know, like, and very success light here is that those characters which were chosen by him, those are really easy to observe, easy to count without any anatomical description. Alright. So such characters he observed in the parental plants, and the same characters he just observed in the offsprings also. I mean in the daughter plants also. With this observation, today we are in a position, we are accepting till today his wonderful experiments. Those came out in the papers in your textbooks as Mendel's laws of inheritance.